Hey everyone, it's Alex, and welcome to the Marvel Snap Decks of the Week, the weekly series where I showcase the top 10 best decks in Marvel Snap. And if you'd like to support my content, consider hitting the like button. It's absolutely free and it helps tremendously with the YouTube algorithm. And while you're down there, just double check to make sure that you are subscribed. And with that being said, we're doing things a little differently this week, which I think you're pretty much used to me saying every single week. We actually got 11 decks this week, and we are focusing on 4 that have no surge in them, because I know that there's a lot of people that might not have surge, and well, let's just say the top 10 is definitely dominated by a certain surging card. And so I tried to do a little bit here to give everyone an option with regards to options to rank up. It's also worth noting that the statistics we're talking about are ranked 70 and to infinite based on untapped based statistics since the release of the season. It's important that you note that there are bots in these statistics, because we simply don't have enough information to go off of pure infinite statistics, and so there is some bot inflation with the stats. So let's talk about all these decks. The first one, once again, we're trying to avoid surge because there is a surge version of negative, but this here is negative bot farm running a 58% win rate but an astonishing cube rate of 0.94. It's no surprise to anybody that negative is an excellent climbing deck, simply because it takes advantage of bots and literally scams them for 8 cubes nonstop. And some players might not respect what you're capable of on turn 6, and therefore, they stay in games they really shouldn't, or turn 7 with this magic. It also has Esme Cuckoo in this deck as well, so this is a great spot for Esme in the event that you did get the season pass and are looking for ways to get the weekend mission complete. This is one of the best spots for Esme right now. There are a couple different ones we'll talk about in a moment, but this deck is an absolutely excellent option for people that are looking for a non-surge way to get to infinite this season, especially in this first week. And it does a tremendous job of scamming bots and getting those sweet, sweet cubes. That's the bonus deck. Now we're going to go into the statistical top 10. It's worth noting that the first 3 are specifically avoiding surge, okay? So first we have at number 10 at a 60% win rate at a 0.57 cube rate. Note that it is a higher win rate but a lower cube rate than the negative. We do have Victoria Hand. This hand generation based deck is using Wiccan, Maria Hill, and the 2-drop that comes from it to get that kind of steady cadence of cards. The deck is doing pretty good. We do have Agent Coulson as well. This particular shell is not running Esme, but you could consider putting Esme in this shell if you so desire. Even someone like a Coulson is a very natural kind of switcheroo if you so wish. I will tell you, though, that in my opinion, there are better decks that you can use to rank up. But in terms of the ranked top 10 according to win rate, this is going to be number 10. And again, we are not including surge in this particular shell because we're trying to avoid all the surge talk, which is going to be coming up momentarily. And then we're going to go to number 9, and this surprised me, and it's High Evolutionary. In fact, it is the recently buffed Fastos version of High Evolutionary. Playing Fastos allows you to usually save some energy, which allows you to basically roll that energy over on a number of different turns. It's a little slower the way the deck plays, and it actually surprises me there's no magic in this list. I think it's close to being a very interesting cook. 60% win rate, 0.63 cube rate, it's doing really well, and for the most part, it's a relatively inexpensive deck, and I got good news. If you don't have Fastos, you could put magic in, or you could very easily substitute something even like a Nebula, which has traditionally made these lists. We're pretty accustomed to talking about Evo because Evo, especially the toxic variant with Ajax, has been doing very well in the meta competitively, but this one here is doing very well against bots and on the ranked quest. So anyways, High Evolutionary coming in at number 9, 60 at a 0.63 cube rate. That's going to take us to our final deck that excludes surge, and that is Sauron, running a 61% win rate at 0.62 cube rate. It is literally just traditional Sauron here. I shouldn't even say traditional, because we did have a lot of changes, obviously, with Sauron going to a 2-drop. The addition of Ares, which of course made this archetype significantly more powerful. We've had a bunch of changes to Surtur, but it's overall still been a pretty consistently good card. And of course, Scar, despite being changed to a 7, still finds a home in this deck, considering how many chonky boys you're often playing. Gone are the days where you would play something like a Shuri into Red Skull Taskmaster Ebony Maw on turn 6, but the deck is still performing exceptionally well, even making room for something like a Cull Obsidian, which actually was getting cut from a lot of the shells originally and now is making a comeback there. Sauron continues to be an excellent choice for players with a budget focus. And that's going to take us to what is a whole bunch of surge decks. And again, we're talking about statistical top 10 decks using untapped statistics here. So I tried to take my objectivity out of it. I'm just reporting on the data, and we're going to be talking about Surge a lot in a couple different variations. We first have Surging of Venom. This is a deck that essentially is extremely similar to the one that I had featured in my my videos featuring both Surge and Esme. In this case here, you do have both in the deck, which is great for the weekend mission. Iron Man being run here, which has been statistically a little better than the non-Iron Man version. I've been running Juggernaut instead of Iron Man. I feel like Juggernaut is an absolute lane winner, a game winner, an absolute soul crusher. I love Juggernaut. But Esme does really benefit from hitting Iron Man, and of course, Agent Venom, Bast, all love hitting Iron Man as well. The major consideration though, and I've mentioned this a couple of times, is that when you're playing a Havoc-based deck, Havoc comes down on 4, and the design of the list is so that as Havoc steals energy after turn 4, you're always at 4 energy, and that allows you to play Kitty Pryde plus a 3-drop. In the event that Iron Man is in your hand, or it's been Agent Venomed or Basted, it becomes increasingly more difficult to get out unless, of course, it's been hit by Surge, or, in fact, if you happen to pull it with Esme, and that's a completely different story. Just be very cognizant if you have a 5-3 Iron Man that's not hit by Surge, and it's not been hit by Esme Cuckoo, Havoc represents a risk because you won't be able to play it if you play Havoc on turn 4. But other than that, at a 61% win rate and a 0.77 cube rate, Surging Venom is doing very well. Now it's going to take us to number 6, and it's Surging Toxins. I think you can get the kind of gist of the naming conventions here. A Diamondback deck, finally. I mean, Diamondback hasn't been making a lot of these shells, and it's finally nice to see Diamondback making the list. But this is a very straightforward anti-venom Ajax deck, and it's interesting to see because Ajax has been performing very well with the high evolutionary versions, and this one here kind of breaks the mold slightly, using the tempo that Surge provides in order to get down some early value, some early power, and just get that ball rolling. Pretty much everything here loves getting hit by Surge, but you know, Hazmat's one of the ones that if it gets hit by the Surge, you're definitely going to want to hold it back. Malekith pulling the Hazmat is fantastic. Malekith pulling Surge, not as good. Still, we're working on early cooks here, and you know, this seems to be doing very well at a 63% win rate, 0.85 cube rate, which is remarkable when you consider that something that has been a classic, you know, bot and infinite stomper as the negative deck is running in the 90s. So this is very close to cube rate. And honestly, it's impressive overall. Good place to start with Surge. And then we're going to go to Surging Surfer. Now, this is the, you know, actually, there's been a couple different, like, single card variations of this deck. I had one of the highest performing versions, and, you know, I think this one here now features the Sage, which kind of is a slight improvement here. And as Esme's in this deck, Surge is in this deck, so it's a good place for you to get your weekend missions done as well. Points, it's a 63% win rate and 0.102 cube rate, which is honestly incredible. Anything above one single cube is absolutely crazy. We also are seeing variations that feature Killmonger in order to take advantage of the Thanos players that are out there. But this deck, honestly, it's fantastic. If Surge hits Makari and Makari comes out from hand, it actually counts as being played down and it passes it over. Captain Carter loves the buffs, of course. Very modern kind of Brood and Surfer card. And I will tell you that Sebastian Shaw, Galacta, and Gwenpool, they all benefit from being hit by Esme Cuckoo. The reason for this is because having 2 Sebastian Shaw is better than 1. Getting a discounted Galacta or Gwenpool is pretty substantial in a Surfer deck, and honestly, you can pay dividends going forward, despite the fact that Surfer will not buff those cards that have been changed to a 3 cost. And of course, Sarah out early on turn 4 is wild if you play Esme on curve. I tend to prefer the Fastos version of this list, but statistically, this one is doing ever so slightly better. So we're showing it to you so you can climb your ranks. Now it's going to take us to number 4, which is actually a very fascinating brew, and it's Surging Bloodstone, running a 64% win rate and a 0.91 cube rate. Elsa Bloodstone is actually making a bit of a comeback here alongside Surge. One of the key benefits in testing with this deck was that if Surge hits Kitty Pryde, and like you just get to keep playing that Kitty Pryde, you're not applying the buff over and over again, but the card is discounted, and so you're able to play that Kitty Pryde for free, which is phenomenal. This deck does not have Athena in it. As a result, if you have a free Kitty Pryde, it's just free real estate for hitting the Angela, obviously hitting Hope Summers, getting buffs with Elsa Bloodstone. It's actually really good here. Surge was phenomenal here, and discounting cards like Gwenpool and Galacta really goes a long way to generating a lot of value for decks like this. Jeff, the baby Landshark, makes the deck as well. This is one of my favorite of the week, and if you're going to try any of them, if you're like, Alex, I don't know what I'm going to play, try this one. Honestly, it's a ton of fun. It's probably one of my absolute favorite of the week, and so Surging Bloodstone gets a special shout-out for me as being one of the best of the week, and that's going to take us into our top 3. It might come to a bit of a surprise to some, but Destroy was actually on the list last week because, honestly, just Killmonger and to be able to just wipe out the entire Thanos shell and archetype was pretty successful. Shang-Chi making these decks again because of the Strange Supremes. It's a good time to play Destroy because like you're countering a 20% meta deck that we haven't yet talked about, with a list that just does its thing and just feasts defensively if you have to, and feasts offensively if you're not against Thanos. So Destroy is honestly awesome right now. A 66% win rate and a 1.29 cube rate. It's astronomical. If you're a Destroy enjoyer, now's the time to play it. This does, in fact, feature Surge as well. I got great news, though. If you're already tilting out because Surge is everywhere, I totally feel you. The great news is you can easily take Surge out and let Auto Deck Builder complete what you have for you, right? So I mean, there's very classic Destroy shells. I talked about one last week, so Surge is not going to be a factor here. You don't need Surge in this deck, but it's funny to see that the best version of Destroy statistically right now as of recording features Surge. Just to give you an idea of how impactful Surge has been in the meta here. I'm almost sick of saying the name, but what can I say? It's doing phenomenal. And so yeah, Surging Destroy, a great option, great, fantastic option. If you don't want to play the cook I just spoke about with Elsa, and you just want something very consistent, very traditional, you got some Destroy. And why is Destroy so good? Well, it's because Supreme Thanos. And congratulations, Surge, you're not in this deck yet. There actually is a version of Thanos running Surge, and I'll be happy to tell you that it currently does not have a higher win rate than the traditional one. So this version of Supreme Thanos actually is beating out the Surge version of Thanos, which is nice and exciting for a change. But not if you are sick of playing against Sam Wilson and Strange Supreme. Cosmo, of course, being added there to prevent the Shang-Chi gameplay. Mobius and Mobius, an excellent tech piece considering the Esme Cuckoos out there and the Surges, which are discounting cards. Mobius says no to that. And then, of course, you have the Enchantress tech as well. This deck is just essentially a massive offensive battle horse with the Strange Supreme. It has defensive capabilities along the lines of Shang-Chi, Cosmo, and Enchantress. And you have the surprise power plays of Mockingbird and, of course, the versatility of the Thanos, which starts in your hand. Mobius providing excellent tech, and don't forget about Red Guardian. This deck honestly has it all. The major flex play in here are, of course, the Iron Patriot and the Speed, both of which don't necessarily contribute to the overall tech-centric feel here. So you can definitely replace them if you don't have them, although Speed in this Wiccan-based shell does tend to get a lot of value. So Strange Thanos, I was going to say Strange Thanos. It is Supreme Thanos is still absolutely on fire. And that takes us to the number one deck of the week, and it is going to be, get ready, it's Scream. And the great thing about this too is that Scream does not have Surge. So thankfully, although Surge has been all over the place in this top 10, it's not cracking the absolute top at a 69% win rate. Very nice, and equally nice is the 0.99 cube rate. It's doing phenomenal here. And I will tell you that Batroc, the Leaper, has been a tremendous addition to this shell. It's just an incredible deck. Scream is always going to be relevant, I think, as long as they've nerfed it already 4 times, essentially, and when they nerf it, and then Batroc just basically comes out of nowhere and just buffs it back up again, it's kind of wild. This deck's doing great, and the lack of, obviously, Luke Cage is not being played at all. It's being played in some of the Ajax-based shells, because Ajax uses Luke Cage offensively and defensively, and Scream just gets to feast, because no one's playing Luke Cage, and you're able to disrupt your opponent quite a bit. And of course, something like a rocket into a bunch of Thanos stones will be highly impactful. So regardless, great deck, phenomenal choice if you want to rank up towards Infinite. And don't forget I had that bonus deck as well for those that wanted to play some negative. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I appreciate each and every one of you, and we'll see you on that next one.